So to begin with this tutorial today, I have two colors of yarn. I am using white and red today. You can use any colors you want. You can also use one color, it doesn't really matter. Both of these are Lily Sugar and Cream. I got them from Joann Fabrics. I buy them online because my store doesn't sell the cones, but you know, you can check in your store. I also have a 5mm crochet hook. This is a Clover Amore hook, also bought from Joann Fabrics, but I know they carry them at Hobby Lobby as well. I have some scissors, obviously, and then I have a metal yarn needle. This is probably 2 inches long. I'm going to begin with my white color. This is going to be the color of my cups and the bottom portion of the top. So we're going to start first with the cups. If you watched my peekaboo tutorial, these are going to be exactly the same cups. But first I'm going to make a slip stitch, put that on my hook, tighten it down, and I'm going to be making a size small in the video, so I'm going to chain 12. If you're making a medium, chain 14. If you're making a large, chain 16. If you're making an extra large, chain 18. So from here, we're just going to turn back on our chain and start doing single crochets. I'm gonna single crochet all the way to my last chain. In the last chain, I'm gonna be placing 3 single crochets together at the top of my cup. Okay, so here's my last chain. In the last chain, like I said, I'm gonna do 3 single crochets together. So that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. And as you can see, the 3 of them kind of brought me around in a half circle. And I'm going to continue crocheting down the other side of my chain. As I'm crocheting, I'm also trapping this end that I had under my crochets so that I don't have to weave it in later. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now because it's out of the way. But there is our first row officially. So I started here, we went up, we did 3 in the top. If you want to mark your center stitch, I would totally recommend that. I'm just not gonna do it. And then we followed the chain down to the other side. So for the second row, I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to start single crochets. I personally don't chain 1 in between my rows of single crochets. If you normally chain 1, then I totally recommend you do that. I'm going to work my single crochets until I get to my middle stitch, which would be the second stitch in the set of 3 that we did in the top here. And in that second stitch, I'm going to place 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to continue down the other side, but we are making a little gap in the middle of our cups for the spiderweb. So I'm going to stop 6 stitches short of the end. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So in my last 2 stitches, I'm actually going to crochet 2 together to start the kind of curvature of the hole. So I'm going to go through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to go through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3, and I just single crochet those 2 together. So I should have 4 stitches left. For the size medium, I do the same exact thing. I leave 6 stitches, single crochet 2 together, so then you should have 4 left. For the large, I actually skip 8 stitches and then single crochet 2 together, so I would have 6 left over, and I do that same thing for the extra large. So for my third row, I'm going to turn my work like so, and I'm just going to single crochet normally, no decreases, up until I get to my center stitch. The center stitch is always going to be the same. It's going to be 3 single crochets in the center. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm just going to continue with my single crochets all the way down the other side until I get to the end here. So once I'm at the end, I'm going to turn my work to do row 4. And row 4, I'm going to start doing regular single crochets until I get to the center top. That's where I'm going to place my 3 single crochets together. That's 1, 2, 3. Once I've done that, I'm going to continue with the single crochets down until I get to my last 2 stitches. I have 2 stitches left, 1, 2. And on the last 2, I'm going to single crochet those together. So after I've done that, I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to just continue with the single crochets like normal all the way up to the center. 3 in the center, and then all the way back down to the other side. I'm going to continue doing that. We're not going to do any more decreases over here. So all of our rows from now until the last 3 rows are going to be just normal single crochet in every stitch, 3 in the center. So I'm going to continue doing these regular single crochet rows until I have 10 rows total. For a small, if you're doing a medium, it's going to be 12. Large is going to be 14, extra large is going to be 16. But we count our rows from the center outwards. So you can see this right here is my center. That's where my starting chain was. I'm going to count outwards, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm on row 6 right now. So like I said, I'm going to keep doing that until I have 10 rows, and then the last 3 rows are going to be a little bit different. Here I am with my 10 rows. You should end on the inside of your curve. So for the last 3 rows, we are going to do an increase, a regular row, and an increase, just to bring that curve slightly back down. So I'm going to turn my row, and I'm going to do an increase in the first stitch, which is just single crochet 2 in the same spot. And then the rest of the row is going to be pretty much the same. I'm going to single crochet all the way up to the top here, put 3 in the top, come all the way back down. So I'll meet you there. Alright, so I just finished that row where I increased here, went all the way up and all the way down. I'm going to turn my row, and this is just going to be a regular row. So I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch all the way up, do 3 in the center, single crochet in every stitch all the way down. Make sure you get both stitches that we did together in the last stitch here. Alright, so back on the other side. Got my last stitch here. So we should have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 rows at this point. The last row is going to be row number 13. Going to turn my work, and I'm going to do another increase in the first stitch. So I'm just going to single crochet 2 in the same spot. And then the rest of the row will be the same. So I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch until I get to the top. 3 in the center at the top, and then all the way back down to my other side. From there, our cup is going to be done. We just have to make the other one, and then we'll move on. Last stitch. There are my 13 rows of my cup. Here's the center cut out. And I'm done with that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off my yarn with 2 or 3 inches to spare. And I always pull my yarn through my last loop and give it a little tug. All right, so now we're going to work on our second cup. We're going to start with a slip stitch, put it on my hook, tighten it down, and it's going to be almost the same as our first cup. It's just going to be reversed so that our cutout part is on the other side of the cup. So I'm going to chain 12. From here, we're going to single crochet all the way until the last chain. At the last chain here, we're going to do our 3 single crochets. You can go ahead and mark the second one as the center if you want to. After we've done the 3 single crochets there, we're just going to continue single crochets on the other side of the initial chain 12 that we did. And as I work, I am also crocheting over my end piece. I'm going to just cut off my scrap yarn to get it out of the way. And then from here is where it's going to be a little bit different from the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn. And on our first cup, you know, we have 4 open chains and then we did a decrease. So we need to mirror that on the other side. So I'm going to slip 4 stitches. So I'm going to do slip stitches in the next 4 stitches. So I'm going to go through, yarn over, pull through again. It's a slip stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 to get me ready to start my single crochets. From there, I'm going to single crochet the first 2 together. So I'm going to go through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to go through the next one, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all 3 so that I crochet those 2 together. And then the rest of the row will be pretty similar to all of our other rows. I'm just going to go up to the center, which is here. I'm going to do 3 single crochets in the center. And then continue down the other side. All right, once I'm at the end of that row, we can go ahead and give it a turn. We're on row 3 now, and this row is going to be completely normal. So I'm going to crochet in every single stitch all the way up to the top, do 3 in the top, come all the way down to the other side, and stop there, right before our 4 slip stitches that we did. Here we are at the end of row 3, stopping right before our slipped 4 in the chain. And then on the next one, I'm going to turn my work. We're going to start with a decrease. So I'm going to crochet the first 2 stitches together. And then the rest will be the same. So we're going to single crochet in every stitch all the way up to the center. We're going to do 3 in the center right here. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to work my way down the other side. So at this point, we are going to continue with regular rows, which is just, you know, single crochets in every stitch, continuing the increase at the center. We're gonna keep doing those until we have 10 rows, just like we did on our other cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and once I have the 10 rows, I will meet you back for the last 3 rows that we're gonna do. So here's my 10 rows on this cup. This time we ended on the outside corner. So for the next 3 rows, we're gonna do the same thing on the other cup. We're gonna do a increase, regular row, increase, all on this curve. For my 11th row, I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to start my single crochets all the way up to the center. So in the center, we're going to do 3, 1, 2, 3, And then we're gonna continue with the single crochets down the other side until I get to my last stitch. And then whenever we get to the last stitch, we're gonna do an increase. So I'm gonna do 2 single crochets together in the same space at the last one. So right here, I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the last stitch. It's 1 and 2. So there we go. Next row is going to be row number 12. This is just going to be a totally irregular row. 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way up, 3 in the center, 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way down. Alright, so there's that. And then the last row, row number 13, I'm going to go ahead and turn my work. And it's going to be the same as row number 11, where I go all the way up, 3 in the center, all the way down, and in my last stitch I'm going to do an increase. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets together in my last stitch. So from here, I did my 13 rows, my cup is done, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off that yarn. So at this point we should have 2 little cups that are mirror images of each other. I'm going to attach my white to the bottom corner here, and we're going to go crochet across, up and around, connect our cups at the center, down and across here. But we should be attaching to our second cup, and the back of my stitches should be facing me, because at the very end we're actually going to go around it again with my red color. But I am actually going to extend the sides a little bit out because I want it to wrap around my back. I'm going to do a slip stitch, and I'll probably chain about 8. You can chain as many as you want depending on how long you want it to wrap around your back. If you don't want it to wrap around your back at all, you can just attach it directly to the corner. And that's how long it will be for me. If you can see that little chain there, that's just long enough. Like I said, you can chain as much as you want. And then I'm going to single crochet right into my corner stitch. And we'll just continue along the bottom. If you can see, there are holes at every section that you can crochet into easily. Right here, right here, right here, right here. It works out pretty evenly. Crochet across until I get to the corner. Right there in the corner, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. That was the first one. Here's my second one to turn the corner. And I'm going to continue up. Kind of just crocheting into every spot that you can crochet into. Making sure they're evenly spaced out. And then the last stitch here in the center. I'm going to grab my other cup, and I'll just continue with the single crochets on the other cup. So as you can see, that attaches them at the center. Once I get to the corner, just like the other side, I'm going to put 2 in there. So that's 1 and that's 2 to turn it. Then I'll continue until I get to the other side, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to chain 8. And then I'm actually going to drop that chain. I'm going to pull it out so that I don't lose any of my stitches. And then here is where we actually are going to make our web and put it in here. And then we can just continue with our white all the way down. The first thing we need to do is to divide our arch into 4 sections. We're gonna need some stitch markers for this. So the first place I'm going to mark is going to be my center, because I know for a fact we need one there. Next, we need to put these 2 in the middle of these 2 sections. So I'll probably just like fold this in half, kind of feel out where the center is, and then place a stitch marker there. If you would like to count your stitches, you can totally do that, but I feel like this is just a simpler, quicker way to do it. So if that looks about right, we obviously have our bottom, center, 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 bottom. So after you have this all marked out, we can go ahead and grab our other color for our web and then start making that. I forgot to say this in the beginning of the tutorial, but for the web portion, I'm actually going to be changing to a 4mm hook, just because I need the web to be a little bit smaller and tighter than what I'm using for the top. So I have my red yarn here. The first thing I'm going to do is make a slip stitch. I'm going to put it on my hook, tighten it down, but not all the way tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in my first chain, I'm going to yarn over and put a double crochet there. Now I'm going to chain 1, do a double crochet in the same spot, chain 1 again, double crochet, chain 1 again, double crochet, until I have 5 double crochets, and that is counting the first chain as a double crochet. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From here, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to chain 2, and that counts as my double crochet. I like to use chain 2s as double crochets. If you usually use chain 3s, then I would recommend you chain 3. But there's my chain 2 for a double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2 again for the space. From here, I'm going to yarn over, place the double crochet in my next double crochet that's available there. I'm going to chain 2, double crochet my next double crochet here, chain 2, next double crochet, chain 2 again, next double crochet, or in this case it would be our chain, place that in the last spot. So here is what it looks like so far. I'm going to turn it again, chain 2 for my double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet in my next spot, chain 4, double crochet in the next spot, chain 4, double crochet, chain 4, double crochet in your next spot, which is going to be a chain. So here's where we're at. last row for the size small, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, double crochet, chain 5, double crochet, now chain 5 again, double crochet in your last one, and then here is what we're looking at. So if I go ahead and grab my top and bring it over, I lay this out, I have enough room going around for one more row on my web. And what we're actually going to do is I'm going to attach it directly to my top in the last row, and I'll show you how to do that. But first I'm going to show you how to extend the web if your cups are a bigger size than this size small. So to make your web bigger, at the start of every row you're going to chain 2, and that's for the double crochet, and then I found it best to, I can show you this if it makes any sense. I found it best to increase by 1 for 2 rows, then skip a number, increase by 1 for 2 rows, skip a number, increase by 1 for 2 rows. So we did a chain 1 in the first row, a chain 2 space in the second row, a chain 4 space in the third row, chain 5 space in the fourth row. We skipped to the chain 6. Then if you want to make your web bigger, you do a chain 7 space for your next row, chain 8 space for the next row, and then you would move on to a chain 10 space, a chain 11 space. Hope that makes sense, but basically just do what I did before, where you can just hold up your web to your top and stop at whatever point where you have just enough room for like one row left. But anyway, at this point, we're gonna go ahead and attach our web to the top. So I have the front of my stitches facing out. The first thing I'm gonna do on my web is I'm gonna chain 2 for my double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the corner right here. Right there. I'm gonna slip stitch my web on. So if you can see from your marked stitches, that is where we're going to be attaching, you know, our double crochet joints. So this double crochet is going to attach here. This one is going to attach straight to the top. This will attach to this marker, and then the other side will attach to the corner down here. So from here, I'm going to be slip stitching in every stitch until I get to my marked stitch. So I'm just going to go in the next one, yarn over, pull up through, next one, same thing, slip stitch. And there's my last stitch, because my next stitch is my marked stitch. I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker off. I'm going to put my hook through where that stitch marker was, and then we're going to attach the double crochet here. So I'm going to yarn over with my red. I'm going to go through that double crochet on my web, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. So we just did that double crochet there, if you can tell. And then we're just gonna move on and to our next stitch marker. So I'm going to slip stitch in all of these stitches until I get to my next marker and do pretty much the same thing that we just did. So I'm at my marked stitch, take my marker off. I'm gonna go through that marked stitch. I'm gonna yarn over, grab my web and go to the center double crochet. I'm gonna go through that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the rest. There you go. So we're going to continue with the slip stitches to our next marker. Do the same thing. Here we are. I'm going to take my marker off, put my hook through the spot, yarn over, find the next stitch on my web, which is this one. I'm going to go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 3, just like you're doing a double crochet. And you can see as they start attaching, the web starts spreading out and it looks a lot more easy, presentable, stuff like that. So I'm going to continue down until my last stitch in the corner. It is my corner. I'm going to go through the corner, yarn over, go into my last space on my web, do a double crochet, and then that's it. Your web is attached now. I am actually going to continue with my red, and I'm going to I'm going to single crochet across the bottom edge of the web. So there's going to be a single crochet in every space and every joint. So I did the space and the joint. Next I'm going to go into the space, and then we have the joint, which is going to be right here. Space, joint, space, joint, space, and then we have the center where we started the web. Then next space, joint, space. You get it, but pretty much we're going to single crochet all the way across until we get to where we first attached the web. Okay, so at the very end, I'm going to do my last single crochet, and then I'm going to cut off my yarn. I'm going to leave a couple inches so I can weave that end in good. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to cut off this piece because I already crocheted over it. And then I'm going to take my yarn needle. I'm going to attach it onto my red piece here. And I'm going to thread it around this piece so that my stitches connect seamlessly. So we went through there. I'm going to go back down through this red stitch, if you can see, right back down through the top. And that will create a little loop, this loop right here, so that all of our stitches, it just runs along, creates a nice straight edge to stitch on. And then after that you can just weave in that red piece of yarn and tie it off the rest of the way. Okay, so we just attached our web, single crocheted across the bottom of it. This is our first chain 8 where we went across, around, and down. Now we have our other chain 8 where I can just put my hook back in my loop and I'll be ready to crochet the rest of the top. I'm going to make sure that there's still 8 chains here just in case I didn't pull out any of the other ones. There is 8 chains, so I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 extra just as my turning chain, turn my work around, and I'll start with my single crochets. across. So for the rest of the bottom of this top, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to be single crocheting in every stitch across, and I'm going to be doing that for a total of 13 rows, but you can do as many rows as you want and make the top as long or as short as you want. So I guess I'll just do a couple rows, come back, let you guys see the progress, and then I'll finish up with all 13 rows, and then from there we will do the border and the straps. All right, so I just want to show you, here I am, I've done 7 rows so far, but like I said, I'm gonna do 13. This is just a little midway check-in. I just finished my 13 rows, and I've got my red yarn here. I want to make sure that the front of my top is facing me. If you did 13 rows, the front is actually going to be the back of your stitches. But I also know it's the front because my spider web is facing forward. I have my slip stitches all around the front. The cups are facing forward anyway. I'm going to take my red, I'm going to do a slip stitch, put it on my slip knot, put it on my hook. And then I'm going to find a good place somewhere on the edge to attach my yarn. I'll probably just go ahead and start right over here in the center. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a single crochet. Continue down to the corner. In the corner, I'll do 2 just to turn it. And then I'll start working along the bottom, and this is where we're going to put our picots. So I have my first stitch done. I'm going to go into my second stitch, and then I'm going to put my picot. So I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to run my hook down the center of our single crochet that we just did and through that front loop as well. So I'll show you one more time. Here is the top of that single crochet. I'm going to go straight down the center and grab that front loop as well. And I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3, and that will make a cute little bobble for us. So I'm going to single crochet 2, and I'm going to do another picot. So I'm going to chain 3, go through the front of my single crochet, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those. So here's the first one, here's the second one, and I'm just going to continue this all the way across the bottom. So I do 2 single crochets in between each one, chain 3, slip stitch, continue. So that's 2 single crochets, chain 3 picot, and continue. If you would like your picots to be farther apart than this, these are pretty close. You can always do more single crochets in between. I'm only doing 2, so they're pretty close. If you want them farther apart, you could do 3 or 4. But yeah, I'm gonna work this all the way across until I get to the other end there. All right, so I worked that all the way across the bottom. Here I am at my other corner. So on this corner, we're gonna do the exact same thing we did on the other corner, which is 2 single crochets together. That will turn the corner for you. I'm gonna crochet across this little space here. I'm gonna do 2 single crochets in my other corner once I get there. There we go. 1, 2. Right. Now from here on out, it's pretty much just single crochet all the way around. 3 in the top, down through the center, up 3 here, down 2 in the corner, and then once we get here we will connect it and sew it together so that it's seamless. But I'll start doing that. I'll check back in with you guys here, and then we'll go over the straps after that. Here we are, just crocheted up, about to be in the center of my cup. In the center of my cup, I'm just going to do 3 single crochets together, then I'll continue down to the center. I'm gonna work my way back up to the other tip, put 3 there, and then I'll meet you guys back down here. I made it all the way back around. I'm gonna cut off my yarn, leaving a good amount to weave in. And pull it out, grab my yarn needle, thread it through. I'm gonna do what we did earlier. So in my first single crochet, I'm gonna go under the top 2 loops, through. I'm gonna go down through the center of that last one. And that makes a nice seamless path. So then on the back, I'm gonna tie these together and then weave in the ends from there. So we finished the main portion, the body of the top. We're just gonna put on the straps now. What I do is I go through my top single crochet. I'm gonna grab my red and pull it through, and then I'm going to tie that in a knot. From here, I grab my yarn needle. I'm going to thread it through. Then I'm gonna flip my top towards me and I'm gonna weave in that end. So after you've weaved in your end a bit, you can go ahead and cut that end off, whatever's left. And then I'll take my hook, and I like to go through that top stitch there. I'm gonna yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then from here you can go ahead and just start chaining. For the straps, the length will vary, but generally I do between 150 to 250 chains. It just depends on kind of like your body, and also if you extended the sides, if you extended them longer, you're going to need less length on your straps. If you didn't extend them at all, your straps are going to need to be longer. So you can make them as long or as short as you need them to be. Okay, so I just finished chaining my straps. I did about 220 chains. They are 5 feet long. And now I'm going to show you how to finish off the ends. So I always cut off like a 3 or 4 inch tail. And I take my tail and fold it down so that it runs along my chain, like so. And then I will tie a knot right at the very end of my chain, like that, and then I will tighten it as much as I can to secure the end of the chain so that it won't come undone, and also to secure my yarn scrap. After you've gotten it as tight as you possibly can go, you can just cut that off. Okay, so now I'm gonna lace it up. I'm gonna take this one and it's gonna cross over our back, and I'll put it in the top corner here. From there, I'm gonna go to the other side and put it in the middle. So I usually just kind of fold it in half, find the middle. There we go. And then last but not least, it'll go across and it'll go right here in this bottom corner. And then you can just do exactly the same thing with your other strap. Alright, so here is the finished product. I really hope you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this. If you want to find me on any of my social media, my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those are going to be linked down below. If you guys make this, I would love for you to tag me so that I can see you guys' creations. And thank you for watching. Bye!